necessarily think that you need to do it all the time, but what do you have to do when you enter a high crime area where you're going down to serve good people? You need to change your mindset. You need to utilize situational awareness and change some of your behaviors. If someone bumps your car down in a high crime area, just a little tap, don't stop and get out. Just crack your window, yell at them, please follow me, put your four-way flashers on, call 911 and ask them to send a car to meet you for a property damage accident, and drive to a well-lit area. Oftentimes these bump jobs are, again, an excuse to get you to stop, get you out of the car, and then you'll be robbed or worse. There's not a police officer in the world that's going to have a problem with any of you not stopping in that area, putting on your four-way flashers, calling 911, and going to a better place to make that report. And probably what you'll see is as you drive away, the other guy will turn and just drive off, because the whole thing was designed, to get you to stop. They weren't interested in exchanging information on the phone. A no-brainer when you get down to the area, a lot of the facilities have good parking for the volunteers. If it does, utilize it, obviously. If you're not familiar with the area, drive around a little bit before you decide where you're going to park. Pick a good spot, pick a lit spot, and avoid parking between large vehicles that make you kind of out of sight when you get out of your car. Don't put yourself into a blind spot where the people from the road can't see you. Once on location, know the address of the building you're in. In the event that you need to dial 911, you need to be able to tell the 911 operator where you're at. So you need to understand, if you don't know the address, tell them, second building from the corner of Trumbull and Forest, or has some descriptive information to help them get help to you. If it's a very large building, try to know that you're on the first floor, south wing, first floor, right off the Woodward entrance, something like that, so that if you need help, you can get there fast, and the officers won't have to drive around a large complex trying to find where you're at. When you're at the facility, know who's in charge of that facility. Know who they are, know if they have security, know who that security is, and know how to reach both of them if you need them. Know the rules of that facility. You're there as a guest, follow the rules. The rules are there for a reason. They're generally there for your protection and the protection of the clients at the facility. Don't bend the rules because you get the urge. You can't fix all problems for all people at all places. Stay focused on your mission, follow their rules. When you're on location and you're engaging in your activities that you've gone down there for, try to stay contained and act as a group as much as feasibly possible. Or at least with a partner. Use the buddy system. Never venture off alone for any reason, to take the garbage out back, going out to the van because you forgot a Bible. Use the buddy system. If you are assigned a buddy and you don't know where he's at, don't assume he or she's okay. Locate your buddy and make sure they're okay. And the staff should try to team up experienced people with less experienced people. That just makes for good common sense. You want people that will complement each other and communicate well with each other. Again, while on site, display a polite but confident demeanor. Team, again, new people with experienced people. Look and walk like you mean business. Don't appear timid, and don't be overbearing. There's a fine middle ground that you want to find. A little study about that. There's been a lot of empirical evidence developed that police officers who wear their uniform in a very militaristic way, their hair high and tight, uniform neat, looking squared away, get assaulted far less than police officers who wear their uniforms disheveled and don't have that military look. And that's a fact, because the suspect will size you up, and when he sees that you appear confident and squared away, what's he looking for? The most amount of gain for the least amount of risk. So look confident, but that doesn't translate into be overbearing. Don't walk with your eyes focused down. Scan the area, again, 360. Be focused at all times on what's going around you, not just in your inner perimeter. When you're, whether you're out on the cast corridor or some other outside location, you have an inner perimeter and an outer perimeter. Your inner perimeter is the area immediately around where you're working. Your outer perimeter might be out by the sidewalk, by the road. And you need to be cognizant of what's going on in both those perimeters. Pay attention to people who are standing in either of those perimeters and paying attention, undue attention to one member of the group or you. They might be sizing up that person. They might be looking for that person to make that mistake and get a loan back at the car. Street criminals, again, look for victims that are isolated because it gives them a great opportunity. A little information on gangs. Some of the places you go might have gangs. If you do any work in Pontiac, I can tell you that the Oakland County Sheriff's Department has a gang task force in conjunction with the FBI and several other law enforcement agencies in the area here. And we've been up and running 2 years, and we've identified 725 known gang members in Oakland County. And believe it or not, 25% of those live in communities other than Pontiac or Detroit. So again, this is just not an urban Detroit, Pontiac, low-income area. You can run into these kind of people in a lot of places, but I can tell you you're going to run into them in Pontiac. And some things to look for are young people that are dressed alike, seem to be wearing the same colors of clothing, such as the same color hat, or wearing their hats all off to one side, like a 45-degree angle, or off to the side. They like to sport the same colors for identification. Just because you spot them doesn't mean you're in danger, but you need, again, to be aware of what the situation is and what's going on around you. Let's talk a little bit about some practical things about dress. Women should move from your purse only the items that you really need to take. A small amount of money, your identification, your medications, home key if you're so inclined. But you don't need to take anything more than that, and you need to wear a proper jacket or shirt that you can put that in a secured pocket. Taking your purse down there only creates an opportunity for someone looking for it, and it only can distract from you having to watch and worry about where your purse is at, and you really don't need most of that for that few hours you're down there, so why bring it? Dress in a manner that will allow you to move freely and fast. Proper shoes are important. If you have to make a getaway, so to speak, you really don't want to do it in high heels, do you? You really don't want to do it in sandals. Wear proper shoes that allow you to move around freely and quickly if it becomes necessary. Don't wear tight-fitting clothes. No long overcoats that impede you if you have to run. No scarves. Men, no neckties. Now, we all know why, right? And police officers, for the most part, wear breakaway ties. They're not real ties. They're clip-ons, because you don't want something around your neck. If someone's going to attack you, you don't want something around your neck that gives them the edge. If they're stronger than you and overpower you, you're at a disadvantage if they start to use that necktie or scarf to control you. So don't wear that kind of thing. Dress down. Don't wear expensive clothing. Don't wear suggestive clothing. Just dress down and try to just look like Susie average, Mr. John average, and that will also make the clients feel a little more comfortable also. The less jewelry, the better. Don't wear your expensive items, rings, glasses. There's been more than one documented case where someone's been murdered in high crime areas over a pair of designer glasses. So don't take those high value items down there and make yourself a victim. Never, and I'll repeat, never give money or personal items to clients. Not only does that put you in danger by giving them money, but you need to stop and think. You're putting them in danger also. If someone asks you for money and you're seen giving them $25, $50, and those predators on the perimeter are watching, you've put that person in danger, because they're probably going to get it taken from them if there's an opportunity. Don't do it. Just tell them very politely, it's against the rules for us to bring money down. I don't have any money, I'm sorry, but I can give you, and then refer to the items that are there that you can provide them. If someone demands something from you that you have, and you feel threatened, and you feel there's imminent danger, and the level of violence is right there, right out of the gate, give it to them. There's nothing that you can take down to any of your mission trips that's worth getting hurt seriously or murdered over. Just give it up and report it as soon as possible. And don't be embarrassed about it. If people in the area, whether it's inside a facility or you're out on the streets, if some of the folks, the street people, engage each other in altercations, physical, verbal, or whatever, don't get involved, don't get engaged. Reform as a group and move away. Move away from the conflict, seek cover, and call 911. And I want to talk a little bit about cover versus concealment. Basic premise in law enforcement. If people are sporting guns and it looks like some violence may break out, you want to get behind something that just doesn't hide you. That's cover, or that's concealment. You want cover, you want to get behind something solid that will protect you, like a car engine block, like a solid door. You want to just not be seen. You want to be protected, because believe me, when some of these criminals start some of this gunplay, they're just shooting in all different directions, and you want to be protected if something like that breaks out. Don't get involved. I know that may strain some of you to not want to help. I guess it becomes a personal issue and at the time, a judgment call. But for the most part, it's probably best to dial 911 and hope for a quick police response. I understand that you're doing a lot of work in the Cache Corridor area, and I know from experience the Wayne State Police Department will respond down there probably 3 to 4 times as quickly as Detroit, only because of the staffing levels. Detroit Police does a fine job with what they have, but they're challenged like a lot of agencies these days. If the police arrive on the scene and engage someone in the area, do not attempt to intervene. Even if your intentions are good and you just want to help, stay away. The situation's already going to be stressful and the officers are not going to have time and may not be interested in what your intentions or take on the situation is. You need to back away and let them do their job. If there's issues, you can talk to the officers after or talk to their commanding officers after, but don't intervene if the police take an action while you're down in some of these environments. Understand your group's exit strategy, your quick evaluation. I know from some discussions I've had that your groups do have plans that if things go bad fast, that you have an exit strategy. Well, execute that plan without delay, without question, if the leader declares it. The driver should have the keys and unlock the car immediately. Stay together as a group, move to the van. Don't be concerned about who sits where, and load the most valuable first and get out of the area. All right, I'd like to talk a little bit about disarming hostile people. This is the part where we need everybody to change into your gym clothes and roll out the mats. Just kidding. I'm talking about verbal conflicts and confrontations and such. If a client starts off gruff and demanding or overbearing, the best way to avoid a confrontation is to start things off on the right foot to begin with. Be polite, be fair, be firm, but be on guard, be mentally alert. But don't assume if it starts out rough that it's going to continue and escalate into a bad situation. A lot of them are just testing. They're going to see if they can push you around, and when they get that look and they get that polite but firm answer, they're going to realize, oh, I got to follow the rules here. I got to do what this person says, and they'll move on. They're testing the waters, some of them. If a street person becomes confrontational, remain calm, remain polite, and use language to de-escalate the situation as best as possible. Show compassion and interest in their concerns. Remember that angry people are highly aroused, and one of the consequences of being highly aroused is that you don't really think clearly and you're not going to behave in a rational way. You're going to be impulsive. Your goal should be to get the person to calm down so they will think about the consequences of their acts before they act. It may be an instant reflex to want to match their tone and volume of voice. Try to avoid doing that because that's tantamount to putting kerosene on a fire. Again, try to stay calm. Use calming phrases such as, I want to help you, but you're talking so fast and so loud that I can't understand you. Or, sir, please slow down, calm down, stay calm. something like, "Excuse me, you need to calm down. Your behavior is unacceptable, and I want to help you, but I can't help you while you're so angry." Try phrases like that. Another technique is to remind a hostile person that there's a lot of other people watching, and that might tend to have a calming effect on them. Your critical duty at that time is to contain the situation. If a person that you're serving becomes agitated with a member of the group, separate that person who is the target of that anger and move them away out of sight. Put them in the van, put them in another room. Try to remove that visual stimulus. Never put hands on to push them away. Once you put hands on in this kind of a situation, you're going to take it to the next level, because again, these folks, many of them grow up in a real dog-eat-dog environment, and they're going to perceive that that's a physical assault or the beginning of a physical attack. Do not put hands on unless it's just absolutely necessary because someone's being hurt. Remember that words are just words. Don't over-respond. But be aware that words and other actions can combine. Actions like body language, nonverbal cues that can indicate violence is next. Some things police officers look for is tensing of the arms, clenchings of the fist, closing the gap between the two people, in other words, getting into your social space, rocking back and forth on your feet, and of course, if you perceive that they're intoxicated or high on some kind of a drug, that's another indication that the level of violence that you're experiencing may change quickly. So look for those cues. Know when to disengage. Know when to just turn and let it go. Anytime there's a hostile confrontation, there's going to be some loose ends to tie up depending on how severe it is. There may be some documentation that you need for the group or the church, some descriptive information for the police if there's been property taken, and just generally some who, what, when, where, and whys. And when you're back at your next meeting, it's always good to have a briefing and go over what happened, what did we do right, what did we do wrong, so that we can make it a learning experience. And if the police come, they'll want to talk to you and get some information from you. I'm sure you're all used to that protocol. It's imperative to understand that there can be some emotional damage to some of your folks if they experience something like this. It might be the first time in their life that they've been confronted with a physical assault, so you might need to take that into consideration as part of your debriefing. Exit as a group, no stragglers. Check out the lot as approaching. If the lot's empty, your van is out there and there's a car right next to your van and the whole lot's empty, that's a trigger. That's probably not a good sign. Probably go back in. But as you do approach the van, approach from the back, look in the windows, make sure the first person should make sure there's nobody in those seats, just like a police officer does walking up at a traffic stop. They're looking at the back of that van as much as they can. They're looking in those back seats to make sure that when they walk by, they're not having someone behind them that could be armed. If you get out there and you see vehicles occupied right by your vehicle, depending on the particular situation,